Hey everybody, morning. Apparently when the stream crashed out yesterday, had some sort of issue, but hopefully I got this fixed. When I restarted Chrome this morning, I got 2 copies of everything, all my previous tabs. I was like, that's not gonna work good for memory on the computer, even though it's a pretty high-end system. Anyway, welcome back. Yesterday we had a little problem, but today, hopefully we get it all going. Hugh, Gayton, David, Will, Don, Mark, Craig, Ed. Good to see everybody. Bradman, don't recognize your name, but good morning. B, Arturo, Sergio, Francois, Rob, Scott, Frank, Diane, Catherine, Svenborn, General Rush, good to see you, sir. Captain Sledge, flying around the world, huh? Going to New Orleans. No, LA. And yeah, it's funny. My my wife and I guess my wife and all my kids have been to LA this year. Southern, that's lower Alabama, LA for us here in the South. And then you have LA, Louisiana. Then you have LA that most people talk about out west that eh, might fall into the ocean eventually, I guess, maybe. Mad, David, Mary, Carlene, Nancy, Pauline, Ted, Diana, Jason, Dan, Darren, Ryan, Chris, good to see you. Hopefully you're having a good time. Grandkids, and traveling around the world, and all those things you do. Rongemer, good to see you. As always, Tesla had big news. Got their robotaxi permit for all of Texas. That's pretty big. Anyway, picture this. Your young teenager just got their first credit card. You know, if you're younger, maybe you don't have a kid yet, but imagine that your young teenager just got their first credit card. They're thrilled because they discovered they can buy things without actually having money. Maybe they've had a debit card. I don't know. In June, they managed to spend less than their allowance for once. Miracle of miracles. And you thought, maybe they got this under control. But, maybe they're learning responsibility. But then July happened. Your kid went on an absolute spending rampage. We're talking about $630 worth of impulse purchases in a single month, up nearly 10% from last year's shopping spree when they actually had cash. Meanwhile, their allowance barely budged, increasing. Maybe you didn't even increase it, right? And here's the kicker. They're now paying more in credit card interest than they spend on actual necessities, right? Now imagine that teenager controls the world's largest economy. Welcome to the United States government of 2025 in July, everybody. Let me tell you a story about how Uncle Sam decided to cosplay a shopaholic teenager with unlimited credit. The Treasury Department just dropped their monthly statement for July, and boy, oh boy, is this a doozy. First off, the good news. Good news, right? As I might pull a muscle on those air quotes. For the 4th month running, the government found some extra pocket change through those tariffs. About $19.3 billion worth, to be exact. That's like finding a $20 bill in your old jeans, except instead of being responsible with it, you immediately blew $600. See, those tariffs are bringing in roughly $240 billion annually. Sounds impressive. I mean, it's kind of like your teenager bragging about their part-time job while conveniently forgetting that maybe they spent 3 times that much on TikTok purchases, right? But here's where the story gets really interesting. In June, our government teenager actually managed a $27 billion surplus. They spent less than they earned. Parents everywhere probably thinking, yeah, Doge's cost-cutting efforts actually working. Guess what? They weren't. July rolled around, and the government said, hold my beer. Let's show you how this is done, right? They proceeded to blow $630 billion in a single month. That's 9.7% from the same month last year. Up. Meanwhile, their revenue, they make no income, crawled up by just 2.5%, $338 billion. That's like earning $338 but spending $630, and then acting surprised when your bank account looks like a crime scene with all the blood. This created a $290 billion deficit for July alone. So let's think about that. That's the second worst July deficit in U.S. history. The only thing that beat it was the post-COVID spending bonanza, which is like saying, well, at least we're not as fiscally reckless as we were during a global pandemic. That's a big achievement, right? But wait, there's more. This cumulative deficit for the fiscal year is now sitting at a pretty nice $1.63 trillion with a T. That's up 7.4% from last year's already impressive disaster, with 2 months left in the fiscal year of 2025. It's not looking good, folks. 2025 is shaping up to be the third worst budget deficit year in American history. Bronze medal for fiscal irresponsibility. Something truly to be proud of there, Mr. Trump, and all this rhetoric. Now, here's my favorite part of this financial horror story. Interest payments. Remember how I said your teenagers were now paying more in credit card interest than on necessities? The U.S. government spent $91.9 billion on interest in July alone. That's over $1 trillion annually just to service debt. Debt is the money of slaves. Interest payments are now the second largest spending category, bigger than defense, bigger than healthcare, bigger than everything on the budget except for one, Social Security. Think about that for just a minute. The government is spending more money on the privilege of being able to borrow money from taxpayers like you and I than it spends on defending the United States. It's like your teenager's credit card interest being higher than their food budgets. And to put that in perspective, that's $1 trillion in annual interest. That could buy every American household a brand new iPhone, but instead, they're just disappearing it into the ether as debt payments. So what does this mean for you, the savvy investor, trying to make sense of all this financial circus crap? Well, essentially, we're investing in a country that treats budgets like suggestions and fiscal responsibility like an optional hobby. The good news is that the US dollar's still the world's reserve currency for now, which means that other countries are stuck holding our debt, whether they like it or not for now. And it's kind of like being the only casino in town. People want to play your games, even though they know the house always wins. But here's the thing. This can't go on forever. It's probably going to come to an end at some point when the interest payments become the second largest expense. You're not running a government. You're running a debt servicing operation with a military attached for the full faith and credit of the United States. And credit is obviously going down the toilet. So my advice, be careful out there. Diversify your portfolio because your money depends on it. Consider assets that have historically performed well when a government blows out. That's difficult, though, when everything's priced in US dollars. Maybe, just maybe, learn something about international markets, keep coming back for more. And remember, investing, as in parenting, sometimes the most important lesson is knowing when to take the credit card away. And that's my story for the day. But yikes, everybody. So how do we make money today? Well, before we talk trades, all trading involves a substantial risk of loss, and past performance is not really indicative of future results. I make predictions. Sometimes they come true. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes I get lucky, make some nice money. And this presentation is intended to be informational, educational, fun, entertaining, not a recommendation to be buying or selling any financial instrument at all. No stocks, options, bonds, forex, futures, cryptos, treasuries, bonds. Don't trade them, and you might lose money if you do. If you desire personal financial advice, you need to hire and consult somebody that can do that for you. That's not me. It's not anybody on YouTube, probably. Be careful out there. S&P, going for that target we've been talking about, right up here. Oh, I left my monster sitting off. Put that back up here. I was I was being a little crazy trying to get everything set up here before I went live. And welcome, everybody. So we got a few more people on the stream. Glad to have you. New members, old members, all the subscribers. So what's up today? Looks like we're going for the target. Right up here. Right up here. Looks good. Looks good. So my daily trade, I've been talking about these today. I flew out a couple days. With the big up in the S&P the last couple days, especially off that pullback last week, there's just not much credit out here. I had to fly out to Friday. So I can fly all the way down. Well, down is up on this chart. And flew all the way down here. Just grabbed this one right here. Sold this put right there. Now you notice the gamma right here. I mean the delta right here. Excuse me, delta. 0.00. That means it is greater than 99.5% likely to end up full profit. Right there. That's pretty sweet. Now we tick down just slightly, but that's a pretty sweet number right there. Now, if you're new to ES puts, these right here, these numbers, they're not dollars, they're points. Points of ES. If you've never traded options on futures, be careful. You can lose money. You can lose money faster than you imagine. But these are points, and 1 point on ES equals $50. Now, this is not the same on every future. This is only true on ES. I mean, there may be some other ones that are a point or $50, but like Russell, a point is like $100. So $50. That means I got 0.35 credit. I did 2 of them. So funny enough, that ended up being $35 for 2. You may be like, well, that's not big money. That's only 2 days. The one I did for yesterday went out for full profit. So been doing a few of these a week. Like 4 contracts is my goal. 4 contracts a week. Extra few bucks. So between, I think it was $30 I got. Let me double check. Pull it up. Look at the. Let's see what we got. What did we do yesterday or earlier? Cool. Come on. Come on. So Sunday. Yeah, I got 25. So I got $25 for yesterday, or $25 went out yesterday, plus 35 today. I got 35 credit on this one. Now for parking, the margin on this was only $5,000. So for parking $5,000 in this position, $60 this week. Not bad. Not bad return on the margin. So 60 divided by 5,000. It's 1.2% this week. Do that 52 times. That's 62% a year. Return on the risk. That's not too bad right there for parking $5,000. So if you think it's chump change, that adds up pretty quickly. Not all that different than what I'm doing over here. Chump change adds up quickly. You look at some of these, you're like, what? $40. Did 460. I mean, hey, chump change adds up quickly. You see how we're doing over here. Just this year, almost 24. This month, hanging out at 14. 3 months, 21. We've actually passed 3 months now. So there you go. This is my 50K challenge. If you've not seen this, does JT make money in the market? There you go. How many other gurus show you this? And every trade's here. Like, if you want to see all the trades, go click on it. You can go look at all of them. Yeah, it's funny. Loss. Made $0. This loss was a hedge. Didn't work out. There you go. Lots of small numbers add up to a lot of big numbers. So that was Rocket Lab. Got lucky there. We'll see if we get lucky on some of the other ones we got. Moving on. Moving on. So you don't even have to do it every day. Like, some people are like, I need the day trade. I need to. Look at that. I'm playing trades that are 99.5% likely to work out in my favor and getting 62% annualized return. That's nuts. That's crazy. Like, think about that. Like, you could buy and hold S&P and not get that kind of money. It's a nice little play. My company's never going to sell it, so I sit here and talk about it for free. I've done 6 of these trades now. Today was the 6th one I've done, and we'll see if it plays out. A drop down to get me in trouble is all the way down here. Has to be down there by the 15th. It has to be below there to actually get me in trouble. That's a long way down for 2 days. Got to be down there by Friday at the close. Now, if it ramps up 3 times my credit, I'll probably close it out. So if it goes from 0.35 to 3 times higher, 9, 10, $1.05, I'll probably close it out. It's 3 days, 3 trades gone. Well, really 2 trades gone plus the credit here. So I can make that back up in 2 days. Not too shabby. And we're set to go higher. Like, odds are we're going on up here to the target. Check it out. Coming on up. Coming on up. Things are setting up to go test. Yeah, I didn't think we'd go above 7,000, but things are setting up to go test 7,000. Like, the proportions we've got in these moves right here that we've had lately, we're setting up to possibly go test all the way up to 7,000. To do that, we're going to have a pretty healthy pullback in here. Let's talk about it. Let's go to the S&P. Actually, let's go to a clean chart S&P. Fingers, right keys. There we go. See, look at these moves right here. That's a crazy move. That's a crazy move. There are some crazy moves going on in here. But this thing potentially sets up a ramp all the way up to 7,000. $65.71. Look at that, $71.40. That's what we're set up for. Potentially poking just above 7,000 right there. lofty goal, we'll probably get a reaction like this before we do it. Something in the vicinity of those bottoms. If we're going to do it. It's crazy. It's sitting out there. Might run us into, if we do a pullback here in the fall and then do this final run, that could take us into first quarter, maybe even the second quarter of next year. So those of you betting on a big drop, the big drop may only be a correction like this into the fall of this year. And then we go running up here, somewhere out here. So this is why I've warned, don't get too bearish too quickly. Could still be upside left until we break down, or until we set a top and prove it with price action. There's still ridiculousness that we can do. All right, I warn we have the potential for a big downside, but it looks like sold some upside calls on CMG just now. Be careful. Crazy can keep being crazier, and for way longer than we have any downside hedge going. All right. Be careful out there. This can be we can go straight up too. We could get up there quickly. We don't have to do a pullback. We could just go nuts. And then it starts looking like this. So despite all the bearish rhetoric that I might talk about, we still got upside, baby. It's Bristol, baby. Be careful out there. All right, be careful being bearish. Be careful counting on anything. The market can just give you a crazy left turn at Albuquerque. Upside looks like what we got. Next resistance coming up 6,500 on ES. Next upside on NQ coming up here 24,000, 24,1. Pop that. Possibly get a negative reaction again. Russell pushing above. This is starting to be a little bit more bullish. It's going to be crazy if this thing pops out, comes back to all-time highs. Is it possible? Absolutely. It has beautiful downside setup, but that doesn't negate turn itself around. Getting above this consolidation. If we get above those highs right there, 2340, probably going to take this thing up to 2600. Even though this chart looks pretty horrible, big downside setup, it could just void the downside setup and set up potential upside breakout. Absolute nuts. Oil still pushing down. Great for inflation numbers, but if we get into those low 50s, the odds of a hot war kicking off. We got a little prelude over here. Middle East needs oil prices higher, not lower. So if we start breaking down, getting below all this consolidation in here, which we're pushing below that May low from 2023, sets up the odds. We're going to push on down to the low 50s. I've got SCO looking for that 22, 23 target on SCO. Looking for this baby to pop up in here, 22, possibly 23. Maybe like, well, why not? If it's going to go all the way down. So this is leveraged, ultra short. It's a leverage short. Be careful on leverage. And remember, the longer they hold it, these leverage erode away. So this next pop, probably not as likely to pop. Now, big prime example, look at this. NVIDIA all the way out at extensions, but NVDL just now making a new all-time high. 2x leverage on NVIDIA. If you were counting on this thing outperforming to the upside, it outperformed to the downside, and then as it came back, it has been lagging the train. If you had gotten out and gotten back in down here, great. Yeah, another one. Been lagging the train a little bit. You can see TSLL down here under the roadmap line, whereas Tesla is up here above it. So that one got beat down too. Gold. Be very, very careful here. This is a very overlapping consolidation. Overlapping consolidations need one final flush out to clear up the chart. That doesn't negate going higher again. If we get the setup for a gold rush trade today, I'll probably take it. But I'm very cautious on this setup right now. Not really breaking out. Rejected that breakout pretty hard. Sitting down here at the, kind of the middle of the range. If we break down, probably coming down here. Go for that lower low. And that low we had back in May. Right there on gold. And, look at that Liberation Day. Like, Liberation Day, we spiked up and then pulled back promptly. So, be careful. Bitcoin, back up. Can we break it out? We still have this potential. Look at that overlappy stuff right there. Very, very cautious. May see this dip one more time before we bounce bigger. Now, I'd love to see it just break out right now. Get above 122 and just go for that target. But I'm cautious on a pullback. So target's sitting up here right now. That pullback, that extension, 124, 126. That's what we're looking for. Ether, almost into the red zone. Caution, caution. We could push through the red zone. That's good for going on up to 65, maybe 7,000. If we reject off of this area right in here, right around 48 to 5,000. If we reject that area, turn down swiftly, not good. Because those proportions into this high set us up for a potential lower low. Right there. NKD, we're in clear air, baby. Clear air. Broke out higher. Target on up here. I'd like to see 48,000 minimum. Maybe 52. If and when we do that, probably taking everything with it. Everything being S&P 500, NASDAQ, maybe even Russell, Bitcoin, Ethereum. It's pretty good for going spicy higher. So I'm not buying or selling anything. Here's the trade. When you ask, what am I doing? It's an option. If you didn't know options existed on futures, here you go. Sold to August 15th, 2 days, 59.60 puts on ESU. So if you didn't know puts and calls existed on futures, that's what it is. Come down here, options. It's options on futures. You'd be like, I didn't know that existed. That's what it is. It's not going long or short. It's flying down here, 59.60, selling that put. Got a little thunder going on if power goes out. Might lose you on the stream. That'd be 2 days in a row. Awesome. All right, dollar. grinding on down as predicted. Target down here in this 96, 97 zone. And if we get a little extra spicy, crispy, delicious, might see something down in the 95, 60 area right down here. Mag 7's Apple, still in the danger zone. Danger zones between the uprights here. Oops, wrong two uprights. These two right here. If we can get above that right there, tip the odds we're going higher. If we don't, any pullback in the market can take us down pretty hard. Maybe outperforming on Apple. Not necessarily a smart place to put money. You have the potential to outperform to the downside. Be careful. Amazon, same thing. We poked out of the uprights and then right back into it. Now we've got a gap down there, and caution has the potential to outperform to the downside, but we might be set up for a bigger upside. We did scrape just the barely top of the bubble where I wanted to correct down to. More ideally, I wanted to go a little deeper down to 140, but just not in the cards at this point. Google looks like we're going to push on out when we fill that gap. We're going to gap down. We fill that gap. 220, 230 upside. Meta, tagging the target, 793. Congratulations if anybody rode that up from the bottom. Nice. Might push it on out to 839. Microsoft, churning in here. Looks like it needs to retest that fib before we can go on up to that fib right there. 508, 565. It can just pop back up though, because we haven't really done any consolidation all the way up off this low from back here in April. Just been a straight freaking up. Been one of the best performers. That's like 60-something% where we've been up off the lows. Nvidia, kind of the same situation, but this one's got the target up here at 212. Tesla, consolidating, trying to stick this breakout. If we can do it, game on. I've got that 350 sold. They got their robotaxi permit for all of Texas. It's pretty interesting. September 1st, they're going to roll it out to the public. It's when their permit goes live, I guess. So they'll be going wider. Netflix, resistance right here. 1265. And potential to go on down. That's absolutely beautiful correction type setup right there. Beautiful proportions. Target would be right down here at the daily roadmap line. All right. So I go pull things that are moving up in the pre-market, put them on the gainers list. I go pull things that are going down in the pre-market, put them in the decliners list. And today we have 39 tickers that are set up with an entry of my primary roadmap bounce setup that we can talk about. And so stick around if you want to know more. And then let's look at some of the earnings stuff too. I'm working on building a tool to help me find those tickers that I was talking about Monday, Tuesday, the ones that are making 52-week highs. I asked my AI to build me a tool, and I don't know. It's not working properly yet. So need some more work on that. What's funny is it ran it itself and pulled a list that was beautiful. I downloaded the code, ran the list, and it didn't work. So I'm not sure what the difference is though. So we'll see. It was like, look, I can run it and it does perfectly. So I don't know if it bull crapped it and figured out which stocks should be on the list and then made code that does that. But it didn't even give me a list at all. It just said, oh, the data's not valid. I'm like, what? Anyway, beautiful thing. It's Python. I can just read it and figure out what the devil the problem is. So after the close today, we got Cisco, Equinox Gold, D-Local, Red Robin, Yum. Nothing super grabbing my attention here. Let's see. JD. Man, JD looks pretty bad. Deer. Went through a bunch of these last night, I think. Deer not looking so. Yeah, it's just consolidating right there. We tag that target. Probably need to hit the roadmap line. Probably need a dip before we can rip again. Eat came out this morning. Just choppy. And Cisco. Looks like we might take that one on up to 74. Yeah. Nothing's really sparking my interest too much. That looks bad. 78 cents. They're going to reverse split or something. That's bad. Got to be above $1 to stay listed. Reverse split. That's dumpster fire territory. Never going to trade it if it reverse splits. That's dumpster fire, baby. Don't mess with that stuff. Even if it pops on earnings. Even if it pops, don't trade that. Don't trade that. All right. Let's go look at what's popping, what's dropping. ESLT, probably going to pull back. ECG. That's a breakout right there. Let's see if it meets the 52-week highs. The monthly charts. So that meets the pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right at 6 months. That one can outperform for 3 to 6 months. Beautiful. ETHU, that's just Ethereum ripping up past the target. I'm going to have to make some choices here. Am I going to ride this on up or am I going to bail? On my early buy that I bought before the reverse split, I'm back to scratch. Slightly profitable. Might just take the money and run at this point. Spins. Okay. ASML. That might have been the bottom. Might have been the bottom. So move up, retrace, hold that 50%. You know, we held the uprights right there. This is a measured bounce type setup. So if it's a bearish correction, like if this was the A and this is the B, well, funny enough, B waves are corrections too. So this may, like what am I watching? What would you be watching, JT? If I was going to get involved in this, not a 5-wave impulsive, we're talking about a corrective. That move, that move, that move right there. My target would actually be right down here. Right in that zone. It may get there quicker too. If we poke through 1050 and get on up here to ridiculous levels, 1185, that probably sets the stage we're going on higher. But this can be a big correction. We stop right there in that zone between somewhere in that neighborhood and still go lower low than we went back here. But it doesn't matter. Like if this is a 1, 2, or if this is an A, B, doesn't matter which one it is. That's the likely target zone. So when would I get involved? If I was going to. It's a little rich for my blood, but move up through 766, which we're really close right now. Move up through that, close above, sets the stage for that continuation right up there. Lily, potentially that was the bottom, the real bottom. Might go lower though. It's potential bottom, not that is the bottom. That's potential. Eat, like I said, chopping around, Can we break higher? 205, 217. INTA looks pretty bad. Not thinking that's the bottom yet. NTES, netties. Probably going on up to 152, 164. S long. Yeah, I don't know if I have even 100 shares after that reverse split. I think I have like something stupid like 60 shares. On ETHU. Eslon. It's an Ultra Solana ETF right there. Popping higher. So USD. Get that. And nice pop. So Eslon might actually perform here. We're getting up. This is the setup for popping up here. 344. $191. See that? Came up, back tested. That's kind of what I expect on several charts, like Microsoft, maybe even ES and NQ when they break on up. I get that pullback before we go on up. 191 right there. FUTU. That's not a bad play. I mean, ETHU probably ridiculous premiums. I'm sure they have weekly options. Yeah, weekly options. Yeah, even for just this Friday, the premiums are stupid. Holy moly. Wow. Man, you could play all the way down in here with a dollar wide spread and still make pretty good money. That's crazy. What's the beta on this thing? Does it have a beta? At 2.7. Spicy. 2.7. Higher the beta, higher the premiums in here. So I'm going live with Jack today. Jack Carter at 11:30, brand new show. We're calling it the Market Masters. Funny enough, Morning Monster, Market Masters. I like that M alliteration apparently. So nice. Let's hunt around. What do you say we just hit the setups? Let's just talk about the stuff that's actually set up potentially for break higher right here. Turn on the Apollo. Yeah, this is a legit daily Apollo entry right there. Fresh. I can see the last one worked out pretty darn good right there. This one, a little smaller potential, but it has 19 trades in them. It's basically in line with the historical data. 74% likely to go up, 1.2. I mean, and so this one, just an average market roadmap performer right here so far. Even though it doesn't have statistical significance, these numbers are right in line. So AER potential to go higher. AL. Oh, that's another. These are really nice today. Like this is the kind of setup I like. Uptrend, beautiful bounce, 6183, 1872, negative profit factor. Doesn't really mean anything since it's not statistically significant. This one already getting close to the target. Be careful. Only have 7440 target there. ARCT already hit the target. ARWR 20 on the upside. AVT got that high, we got that low. Got that right there. 59 is the target. BZH. 2666. Right there. Calf. $42.40. CBU. There's a lot of these today, so careful out there. There's the high. There's the low. Big pop up. 61.90 target. 29. That's pretty dang close. This one's actually running pretty good. One trade's not going to blow this. So check plus here. And just a check over here. I like above 2, but this one's running pretty good. Pretty spicy. Big thunder. You could hear that. Still going. CNO. A little bit choppy and a downtrend. And that one stopped out recently. Be careful. But 38.69 is the target there. CRNC already hit the target. That's what happens when you get that little tight, choppy stuff. It doesn't make big profits either. And that one's about to hit the target, 26.12. DG2, DGII, 37.24. EFG didn't actually hit the roadmap line. There's a difference between my Python code and the way EMAs are calculated in Python and the way EMAs are calculated in financial software such as TradingView. And I don't feel like recreating the code to do an EMA myself. So 38.60 on the target for EVTC. EWZ, Brazil. I made a lot of money on this during COVID. About a third of the money I made during COVID was from Brazil. I bought a 20-cent option that went $20 in the money. That was big money. Big money, big money. 29.75 upside targets. GATX. If anybody ever looked at train cars, there are a ton of GATX numbered train cars. I don't know why. That's especially here in the South, like Southern, whatever, Norfolk Southern, I guess. 164. All the train cars have a serial number on them, and they start out with usually a 4-letter number. And in this area, there's just a ton of GATX train cars. I used to heat train cars to unload the product. We had to log the numbers. Got me paying attention to them. 63.54, 53 targets. ILF. Didn't hit. MKSI. Be careful on this one. It needs to break on through that downtrend of highs. But 115 or 111, 114 upside potential right there. MSG. E. Madison Square Garden Entertainment. While it's popped up and set up the entry, earnings pushing it back down. I don't know. Maybe you want to get involved, maybe you don't. Has no trades in the history. Excuse me. NHC already hitting the target. NRC under the roadmap line. I'm not keen on this downtrend. That doesn't negate it from working. 18 targets. NTAP. And 110 targets. NTRA. There's the high. Here's the low. There's the entry. 179 targets. And not great numbers. ODC didn't actually hit. PFSI was in. This is in it from back here. We did another swing. Looking for 106.50 plus. Yeah, I wouldn't touch that. PRDO. Another nice looking one. It's in an uptrend. Nice pullback. 3 waves. Coming up. 35.49. Not the best statistics, but nice pattern. That one worked out back here. Got that high, we got that low, we got this new entry for 24 on the upside right there. Pretty nice numbers here. Pretty nice numbers. SBGI, that one's in it from back here. And we just did another swing right here. It's been pretty choppy. Stop is always $1 below the low, in case you didn't know. 16 target SMMV. Not fond of this little baby pullback here, but there you go. 42.86 on the upside. STNE. Here's the high. Here's the low. Potential 17.29. SYNA. Here's the high. Here's the low. 72.28. TCX. There's 39 of these today. It's crazy. Here's the high. Here's the low. Let me know if you like these or not. Entry 24.50. That's a pretty good one right there. Even with 10 losses, that's still going to be really... We'd have to lose 10 more in a row. That's an interesting one right there. That's like a 25% upside, 24% upside. That's pretty spicy. 20% upside, I guess. I was looking at that 25. VEL, another nice looking one. Velocity Financial, 19 targets. WSBF. There's the high, there's the low. 1430. XHR, we're almost done. A little tight range. Not going to be a big target. Just 1350. And XPEL. This has been historically a pretty good one. 40.87 on the upside right there. So my bias for the day is still up to those targets. Still looking for that upside. 65.60. All right. I'm going to go. I got to get ready for that show coming up in about an hour. And have a great day, everybody.